Dr. Richards, Mr. Long, all in favor? The vote is unanimous. We're now back in public session. Please stand for the pledge. I know. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Do we have any agenda changes this evening?
We had updates to personnel.
Thank you. That moves us on to board president comments. As we're in December, already back from our Thanksgiving break, having only about 2.5 weeks until the longer holiday break this winter, which sounds very simple and exciting. But for those of us who work in schools, have kids, walk by schools, have heard the word schools, many of us know that that's a very intense, busy time period. Lots of emotions, lots of things to get done. Just lots of excitement and anxiety as you're coming on a big change. So just taking a moment to recognize everybody, adult and child, who's working through those times and making sure they have a positive experience up through their break. So then they're able to hopefully find some relaxation, some time to recenter, and access any supports that they may need during that time period. Knowing that there's a lot of exciting events going on during this time as well. There's, I think, basketball games I've heard mentioned going on. We have clubs getting ready for different parts of competitions that they're involved in throughout the year. We have at Brasser the craft sale coming up soon, different fundraising events, all sorts of things to keep people, again, very busy supporting each other, supporting the community, but knowing that all of that focus takes some time for people to be able to center and make their way through this. So thank you to everyone for all their work during these times. That moves us forward to points of interest. Do we have any? Thank you. Do we have any meetings to report on? Okay. Do we have any visitor comments? Thank you. So that moves us on to our report section. Our report right now is on the 8th grade trip, which is scheduled for potentially June 2025.
Principal of Gage Chi Middle School, and I am here to present to you our proposal for the 8th grade class trip this spring. All right, here we go. All right, so based on the recommendation of our assistant principals and teacher leaders, we decided to take a slightly different approach with soliciting interest for the trip this year. We held a class-wide 8th grade vote where our 8th graders were presented with 4 options of where they would potentially like to go after thorough vetting by our team that put together the options in the itineraries. More than 90% of our 8th grade class participated in the vote, and the top choice was Peak and Peak Outdoor Resort in Clymer, New York, which received over 50% of the votes cast. This is 2 hours and 15 minutes away. It is an outdoor resort in the summertime. It features yard games, mini golf, athletic courts, ropes courses, zip lines, and pools. You'll notice the 3 objects with asterisks next to them do require waivers signed by the families for their children to participate in. There is also extra resort supervision provided at all 3 of the asterisks events. We are proposing that the trip occur on June 6th, that's a Friday, in 2025. Students would be dropped off at school and the charter buses would depart at 6:45. We would return at 7 p.m. The projected cost of this trip is $275, which includes a charter bus, meals and snacks throughout the day, admission to everything inside the park and resort, and a class t-shirt for all students. There are scholarship opportunities for our students who may need them and require them. They have been participating in class fundraisers since 6th grade. Their profits from that will be taken off of their trip cost automatically. Our parent-teacher organization budgets annually to support students in need in collaboration with our social workers and student support team so that they have this opportunity, as does our student council and our various district partners, specifically through Angelina Pound's office for student support services. So that is our proposal. I am here to answer any questions that anybody may have about the process or the new location, because as you know, Niagara Falls has been the location for the last several years.
I love that there was the chance for the students to give feedback and choice over their opportunities. For me, that always feels like a good thing for our kids to have that voice in their choices. Dr. Richards?
Thank you, Dr. Z. You said those scholarships are available. How do students apply?
Yes, Dr. Richards. So as you know, communication is key, so making sure that all stakeholders are aware that we can take questions and address concerns on a case-by-case basis. Additionally, we have subsets of student support teams that operate in the building consisting of teachers, social workers, counselors, community administrators that meet on a once every 4-day cycle to discuss the needs and the supports and the interventions providing their students. They have a pretty good pulse based on the connections that they formed with their students over the years in their community over who may need some proactive and an extension. Hey, can we help you out? In addition to the invite, reach out. We're here to support everybody who wants to participate in this.
Anything else? Yep, and this, we're going to be voting a little bit later on action items. Thank you so much for sharing. Oh, did you have, go ahead.
What were the other choices that they voted on?
There was one choice in Toronto for a medieval festival. There was 2 standard Niagara Falls itineraries that differed slightly in what they would be doing in the park throughout the day. They were presented with a 1-page itinerary and a YouTube video created by the Parks and Services for each one of the vendors before casting their vote.
Thank you. Anything? Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, we have our school nutrition update next.
Can you hear me now? I can hear me now. So good evening, President Coffey, Vice President Richards, Board of Education, and Superintendent Daly. I'm Janice Phillip. I'm the Director of School Nutrition, and I'm here to provide a brief update. So just a little bit about our team. We do have 6 school cafeterias. In addition, we feed kids at Hope Hall, along with 4 off-site BOCES groups. We have over 40 school nutrition staff members. Within that staff, there are at least 10 staff that are from different home countries where English is their second language. So we got lots of good stuff going on the team. Within the team, we have 5 cook managers along with 1 school nutrition manager who oversee each of our kitchens. The school nutrition manager at the middle school is the one that also oversees all the off-site feeding that we do each day. So a little more about the team. Each cook manager is responsible for the daily operation of the kitchen along with any record keeping. There is pretty extensive record keeping required by state ed. We have 8 cooks, 2 located at the high school, 2 at the middle school, and then 1 at each of our elementary schools. In the cook role, they are required to fill in as manager, should the manager be absent. We also have over 25 food service helpers. Those are the people you see cashiering, serving kids, prepping food, washing the dishes, and keeping everything running smoothly. Also not on the slide is Carmen Del Corvo, who is our school nutrition office assistant, and she helps me keep that office running smoothly. She's also the person that our families are likely to reach when they call, and she is wonderful with our families. We appreciate her. So state ed requires training of our team, and so each member of the team is required to have 6 to 12 hours annually of continuing education. These hours are gained through our superintendent conference day, along with other food safety training. Over half our staff are nationally certified or county certified. We also are required annually to do civil rights training and diversity, equity, and inclusion training. So my favorite slide, meals are free again this year. So this is year 2 of a 5-year program that we're part of, and hopefully there won't be any changes to that. And so we are very excited. It was nice to hit the ground running. Most families were aware that meals were free again, so it's really helped with our participation. So again, that's a big bright spot. As far as the average daily meals served, our numbers come out of our POS system. So these do include our kids that we feed at Westside, Westview, Ridgecrest, and RTP. This does not include the Hope Hall meals. They do their own claims. We actually act as more of a vendor for them. And so if you look back 22, 23, we were close to 3,000 meals daily. 23, 24, about 3,600. And this year, consistently looking at it today, we're around 4,200 meals a day. So the numbers keep climbing. And then looking at our average participation of those meals. Breakfast, again, you can see 23%, last year 37%, and this year our breakfast participation's at 41% and growing. Lunch, we're up to 74%. I like to boast that that's the highest on the west side, just saying. So we're feeding lots of kids, and there really is the need, and we're excited to be able to do that. The other thing we're very proud of is when we switched to free meals, we did not reduce the number of choices we offer. There has been some conversation about that in other districts, that once it became free, there went choice. We did not do that. We feel it's important that all our students still get a choice each day. We like to have student voice and involvement. Annually, we've had, for the past 3 years, a Gates Charlie Middle School recipe contest. It started with some pizza madness. We've done pasta, we've done desserts, where the kids submit recipes. Then they come with our team, prepare the food, and the kids get to sample and vote on what they like best. We also did twice a high school survey last year, trying to be a little more modern, using QR codes, trying to get feedback. As you can guess, with the high school kids, you got to filter some of that a little bit, but still helpful. And also at our Fall Fest, the last 2 years, we provided samples of new items we wanted to offer. This year we did orange chicken over ramen, and we also did overnight oats, which was kind of fun. We had a family from another district say, wow, I can't believe you make food for breakfast. Well, you know, we do cereal and muffins too, but it's nice that we try and offer something that's on trend and or something that's homemade for the kids. So, any questions for me? Yes.
I know when we first went to free lunches, we were pushing for families, encouraging families to fill out the free and reduced lunch forms. How do we stand with that? Are people still filling them out?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So this year, there were some issues with state ed with how the what's called direct certification was happening. And so they pushed out our expiration date, which was actually yesterday. So going into the expiration, we were at 55%. Because we've been actively trying to work on these applications, the dip was to 47% this morning. A year ago, that dip was to 37%, and then you spend time trying to build it back up. So I feel pretty confident that that dip, since it wasn't quite as big, you know, we're hitting the ground running trying to close that gap. It's important that families still have that free and reduced benefit because there's other benefits tied to it. And so what happens is when all of a sudden they can't get a waiver, it's the frantic phone call, along with obviously it's important, from a taxation standpoint that we keep our percent up. Any other questions for me? I should have brought along some samples. I really stink.
We never object to samples.
Next year.
Thank
Anything
you so
else?
much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. You've been given a challenge, sir. Finance, facilities, and audit update.
I'll see if I can talk like a livestock auctioneer. I can't even say that. Holy cow. All right, good afternoon, Superintendent Daly, President Coffey, Vice President Richards, evening. I'm Board of Education. So I'm here to give a Finance Facility Audit Committee report. We went over audit. Freed Matzik did a cybersecurity audit. Generally, the consensus was that the technology department was proactive and cooperative during the process, and that our technology process received the highest ranking possible, so kudos to the technology team. Internal audit and internal claims audits for the first quarter of this year and fourth quarter of last year, all positive feedback. From a finance perspective, we talked about FEMA reimbursement. Mrs. Sanford, District Treasurer, updated the committee on our appeal for additional funds, noting that a good portion of them have already been claimed and paid out. In terms of the budget, shared that we're fully in the budgeting process. Buildings and departments are actively developing and establishing budgets that will be put forth to district administration to review in January. And so from an expenditure perspective, we're right on track. From a revenue perspective, a slight bird walk. There's been some recent developments in terms of foundation aid and funding. Erie One BOCES put out an analysis of potential aid for next year, noting that overall aid across the state increased 3.9% last year. Going into next year, the estimate is 5.77% based on the Consumer Price Index change, which is a positive for schools. In addition, shared some initial numbers based on the November database, the information that we submit to the state, and it looks very positive for Gates Chili. However, at the same time last night, the Rockefeller Institute, who did surveys across the entire state and connected with a lot of stakeholder groups, put out a 314-page report last night that looks at foundation aid and state funding top to bottom. There are a whole slew of probably 50 proposals on all different categories of funding across the state. This is a snapshot. This is only 10 pages long. That kind of truncates everything and tries to consolidate it in a way that people who are big into education funding can understand. However, because it is so complex, it will take some time for organizations and associations that advocate for schools to come out with an assessment of that. And we do know that it will be complex. There's a lot of complexity in here, and that based on what we see now, if they do enact what the Rockefeller Institute is recommending, right now we have no idea what that will mean for us because there's so many moving parts and so many categories that would have to be then distributed across the state. So again, there's going to be a lot of conversation about that at the state level with the governor's office and the legislative branch relating to which parts of this and how far they'll go in terms of implementing it and what the timeline will be and what that could potentially mean for us. So point is, state aid is very up in the air for us at this point in the game. With that being said, we also talked about some potential legislative items that could be areas to focus in on for this year. Also asked that the board and the Finance Facility Audit Committee continue to think about areas of legislative priority. Talked about a district-wide study. Tomorrow we'll be sending out a request for proposal for a comprehensive planning study that will look at everything from demographics to enrollment to grade configuration to zoning to transportation will be a thorough, comprehensive study. We'll send that out tomorrow, hopefully get some interested parties to come in and interview with us, and then start a study in the early part of 2025. Talked about district printers and the ones that need to be approved by the Board of Education. Talked about an expiring pilot agreement and some issues with one of the expiring pilots that we will likely need to address down the road. We talked about the Building Brighter Futures, the current capital project that is ongoing right now, and where we're at in terms of tracking and plans. We talked about the Future Ready Perspective Capital Project for vote on February 5th, 2025, and just talked a little bit about the communications plan and the vote plan. We talked about electronic door locks at the elementary schools, noting that they're planned to be installed at some point during the school year. We talked about clocks and PA systems at the middle and high school, indicating that we intend to have those upgraded, would like to use the funds out of our $4 million capital reserve fund for security infrastructure. That will be a second proposition for vote on February 5th. We talked about addresses as the district office is moving over into this building, noting that the address will not change and that we'll still receive mail at 3 Spartan Way. We talked about the solar project and the conversations we're having with the New York State Education Department from an advocacy perspective, so that we're able to get that project aided and actually do the work. Absent a special approval from the state or special legislation from the state, we will likely not be able to continue with that project. Bus electrification plan, noted that we're currently doing a study and shared where we're at in the process. And then we talked a little bit about traffic flow at the high school and some storage solutions specific to our music department. Any questions? Okay, thank you and have a great night.
Thank you. All right, that moves us on to our consensus items. Can I have a motion to approve the consensus agenda? Ms. Littlewood, Ms. Urbanowski, any questions or discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve consensus items C through G? Mr. Long, Ms. Kais, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. All right, that moves us on now to action items. Can I have a motion to approve the 8th grade trip in June 2025? Can I have a motion? Dr. Richards, Ms. Davis, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve the installment purchase agreement with Monroe 2 Orleans BOCES for copiers and printers Toshiba to be placed at the following locations: the Gage-Chili High School and the Gage-Chili Middle School? Can I have a motion? Mr. Long, Ms. Urbanowski, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve pausing for one moment. Got this, guys. Motion to approve the installment purchase agreement with Monroe 2 Orleans BOCES for copier and printers Canon to be placed at the following locations: Gage-Chili High School and Gage-Chili Middle School. Can I have a motion? Dr. Richards, Mr. Moscato, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve the following rate of pay increase for lifeguards and swim instructors with the district to attract and retain qualified people effective of January 1st, 2025? Lifeguards from $16 to $18 per hour and swim instructors from $17 to $19 per hour. Can I have a motion? Ms. Kais, Mr. Long, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. It's your turn.
Okay. So first I want to start out with some important reminders from our school calendar. A reminder, there's no school for students in grades UPK 5 next Monday, December 9th, because we're having our parent-teacher conferences. And before Thanksgiving break, our high school and middle school sent out the first report cards of the year via Parent Square. These report cards came directly to families via email, text message, or app notification in the same way that student schedules and teacher assignments were shared this past summer. Our plan is to continue to use Parent Square to increase access to important information about student progress and growth. Elementary families, you'll be up in the next few weeks. And speaking of Parent Square, which we always do at our board meetings, we continue to inch up in participation. 71% of our parents and guardians throughout the district have activated their accounts, unlocking engagement features and easy access to information about their students. Last month, we also began using Student Square, the student component of Parent Square, in small pockets. Students can now use this platform to stay informed about their clubs and athletic teams. And if families want to access important features like secure document delivery, they can go to gateschild.org/parentsquare to get started. Meanwhile, students can access Student Square directly in Class Link. We also have multiple opportunities to see our Spartans perform this month. This week, the Paul Road Band and Chorus Concert is Thursday night. Next week, you have the chance to enjoy the high school band concert on Tuesday, the Disney Band and Chorus on Wednesday, and the middle school chorus on Thursday. Then finally, the week before break, the middle school band and jazz concert will be on Wednesday, December 18th. All concerts being at 7 p.m. in our Performing Arts Center. We also have opportunities to engage with the community at 2 holiday craft shows hosted by Florence Brasser and Walt Disney. Scoop up one-of-a-kind holiday gifts at one of these 2 great events. On Friday, December 6th and Saturday, December 7th, the FBFA is hosting their annual holiday craft show at the Chi-Lai Community Center. And then the following weekend, on Saturday, December 14th, the Disney PTO will hold their craft fair at Walt Disney Elementary School. Also on the docket for Saturday, December 14th is our pop-up food pantry. The event will be split between 4 locations at 2 different times. From 9 to 9:45 a.m., you can head to City of Hope Church at 2070 Long Pond Road or Motel 6 at 1273 Chi-Lai Ave to get a bag of food. Or from 10 to 10:45 a.m., you can meet the pop-up pantry at the Gates Public Library or the Church of the Epiphany at 3285 Buffalo Road. This event is being held in partnership with the Gates Chi-Lai Community Connections, or GC3. Our high school families should mark their calendars. Next Wednesday, the high school is hosting our financial aid night. The event on December 11th begins at 5:30 p.m. in the high school library mezzanine. Come get help in filling out these important forms for our college-bound Spartans. We are once again looking for voter input in the budget development process as part of the Budget Ambassador Program. One of our original budget ambassadors is here in the audience, and we hope he comes back again. Ambassadors will review the preliminary 25-26 budget as developed by the administration, recommended to the BOE any modifications they'd like to see. Volunteers must commit to meet for 2, maybe 3, 2.5-hour sessions with myself, Dr. Ball, and his team on March 6th, March 20th, and April 3rd, if a third meeting is necessary. No experience is necessary, but ambassadors must be residents of our district. To sign up, go to gateschild.org/budgetambassador. Finally, to close out the night, I'd like to remind everyone that the district office is moving to the Gates Chi-Lai High School later this month. To accommodate this transition, our district office will be closed from Monday, December 16th through Friday, December 20th. Please note that during this time, email communication with district office staff may be intermittent. We encourage staff and families to plan accordingly for any needs that typically require district office assistance. Meanwhile, the Gates Chi-Lai Administration Building will soon become the Gates Chi-Lai Operations Center. Moving forward, this space will house facilities, security, and other vital internal operations, ensuring these services remain centralized, efficient, and accessible. In the coming weeks, signage will be updated to reflect these new locations on our campus. And I would be remiss to not share that tonight, one of our quality staff members sacrificed celebrating her birthday, her 29th, with her children and family to be here to help us communicate with our community. So happy birthday, Mrs. Petrosino. That is my report, ma'am.
Thank you, and thank you again for sharing those birthday wishes. Can I now have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Dr. Richards? Anybody? Mr. Winowski, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.